You stopped talking. And that's when it started. Not the applause, not the attention, the fear. Somewhere right now, someone who used to control you is checking their phone, waiting for a response that isn't coming. And the silence on the other end isn't weakness. It's a verdict. You used to explain yourself. Remember that. You used to justify every decision, defend every choice, beg for a seat at a table that was never going to serve you. You thought that was survival. It wasn't. It was surrender in slow motion. Something in you finally broke the right way. Not the breaking that destroys you. The breaking that removes the parts of you that were never load-bearing in the first place. The parts that needed permission. The parts that needed applause. The parts that flinched when someone raised an eyebrow. Gone. And what's left is quieter, colder, harder to read. People don't fear the loud ones. Loud is predictable. Loud gives you a script, a pattern, a weakness to exploit. But silence gives them nothing. No tone to analyze. No reaction to manipulate. No opening. You became the room nobody can read. Think about the last time you walked into a space and said less than everyone expected. Did you feel it? That shift in the air. That subtle recalibration in the eyes of everyone watching. They were trying to find the thread. The thing they always used to unravel you. And it wasn't there anymore. That's not an accident. That's architecture. You built that. Every night you sat alone instead of explaining yourself to people who never deserved the explanation. You were pouring the foundation. Every time you let an insult die in the silence instead of feeding it a reaction, you were reinforcing the walls. Every time you disappeared instead of performing your pain for an audience, you were locking the doors. Nobody claps for that kind of construction. Nobody films it. It happens at 2 a.m., when your jaw is tight and your fists are closed, and there's no one in the room to perform for. That's the real gym. That's where the version of you that scares people gets built, brick by brick, in rooms with no witnesses. And here's the part they don't want you to understand: silence isn't the absence of a response. It iced the response. When you go quiet after betrayal, that's not you losing the argument. That's you removing the argument entirely. You're not fighting on their terms anymore. You've left the arena while they're still swinging at air. Somewhere, someone is replaying the last conversation they had with you, trying to figure out what changed. They don't know you left 3 weeks ago. Mentally, emotionally, completely. Your body just hadn't caught up yet. Now it has. You stopped needing them to understand you. That's the moment everything shifted. Because as long as you needed their understanding, you needed their permission. And as long as you needed their permission, they had leverage. The second you stopped needing it, the leverage evaporated. And people can feel leverage disappearing. It terrifies them more than any confrontation ever could. This is why the quiet ones are the dangerous ones. Not because they're plotting revenge. Not because they're seething beneath the surface, waiting to explode. No, because they've already moved on, and the people left behind haven't figured that out yet. There's nothing more unsettling than someone who used to fight for your attention, who simply stopped. You didn't ghost them out of weakness. You ghosted the version of yourself that used to beg to be understood. Let that sit for a second. Every relationship, every job, every room where you used to shrink yourself to keep the peace, that peace was never for you. It was a leash with a nice name. And silence is how you slip it without anyone hearing the chain hit the floor. People will call you cold. Let them. Cold is just warmth that learned discretion. Cold is fire that stopped needing an audience to prove it burns. You are not obligated to perform your growth for people who mocked your struggle. You are not obligated to announce your comeback to people who celebrated your collapse. You are not obligated to explain your silence to anyone who benefited from your noise. Somewhere in your story, there's a version of you that used to over-explain every late reply, every canceled plan, every closed door, terrified of being misunderstood. That version is dead. And nobody attended the funeral because nobody was invited. That's the point. Real transformation doesn't send out invitations. It doesn't post updates. It doesn't need validation mid-process, because validation mid-process is how people talk themselves out of finishing. You go quiet. You disappear from the group chats. You stop showing up to the version of your life. where you were the background character in everyone else's story. And while you're gone, building, healing, sharpening, the people who used to have access to you are left staring at a silence they can't interpret. Was it something they said? Something they did? They'll never know, because you're not going to tell them. Telling them would mean giving them one more piece of you. And you're done giving pieces away for free. This is the part nobody prepares you for. The silence gets uncomfortable before it gets powerful. There will be a stretch, maybe weeks, maybe months, where the silence feels like isolation instead of strength. Where you check your phone and there's nothing, and some old, hungry part of you wants to break the quiet just to feel something again. Resist that. That urge is the last gasp of the version of you that needed noise to feel real. Let it starve. Because on the other side of that discomfort is a stillness so complete that people mistake it for danger. And they're not wrong to. Stillness is what's left when you've stopped needing anyone's reaction to confirm your existence. You start moving differently when you stop narrating your moves. You start deciding faster when you stop needing consensus. You start healing faster when you stop performing the wound for sympathy. The people who hurt you are still waiting for a reaction that would let them know they still matter to you. Every day that reaction doesn't come, a small part of their control over you dies. You don't have to raise your voice to win. You just have to outlast their need for a response. This is the quiet war nobody talks about. It's not fought in confrontations. It's fought in the ordinary, unglamorous decision to not text back, to not explain, to not clarify a misunderstanding that was never really a misunderstanding. It was an excuse to keep a door open that needed to close. You closed it, without ceremony, without a speech, just silence. And silence, held long enough, becomes its own kind of proof. Proof that you don't need them to see your growth to know it's real. Proof that you don't need their forgiveness to move forward. Proof that the version of you they used to control simply isn't available anymore. Now let's go deeper. Because there's a mechanism behind all of this. A cold biological mechanism that most people never learn, and the ones who do, they use it like a weapon. When you stop reacting to someone, their nervous system doesn't relax, it escalates. Silence doesn't calm a manipulator, it activates them, because manipulators are wired to read reactions the way predators are wired to read movement. Take away the movement, and something ancient and uncomfortable kicks in. Uncertainty. And uncertainty, to a person who thrives on control, feels like drowning. That's why your calm unsettles them more than your anger ever did. Anger is data. Anger tells them exactly where the wound is, exactly how deep, exactly what to press next time. But calm tells them nothing. And the human mind cannot stand an information vacuum. It fills the silence with fear, with guesswork, with a slow, creeping dread that maybe, just maybe, they've lost something they can't get back. You don't have to say a word for that mechanism to start working. It's already working. Right now. In every relationship where you used to give and now you don't, think about the last time you didn't laugh at a joke that was actually an insult. Didn't defend yourself against an accusation that didn't deserve a defense. Didn't chase an explanation for someone else's bad behavior. You felt the air shift. That wasn't awkwardness. That was someone recalibrating their entire understanding of what they can get away with around you. This is what nobody tells you about growth. It's not loud. It doesn't come with a highlight reel. Real growth looks like doing absolutely nothing in a moment where the old you would have done everything. It looks like reading the message and not replying for 6 hours. Not out of games, out of peace. It looks like hearing the gossip about you and saying nothing, because the version of you that needed to correct every rumor doesn't exist anymore. It looks like watching someone try to provoke you into a reaction and giving them a silence so complete it becomes the only headline they walk away with. Let's talk about isolation, because that's the price. Nobody hands you this kind of power for free. When you go quiet, people don't just lose access to your reactions. They lose access to you, and some of them will drift. Some of them were only ever there for the noise, for the drama, the explanations, the emotional labor you used to hand out like currency. When the currency dries up, so do they. Let them go. You are not losing people. You are discovering who is only ever renting space in your life and who actually belongs in it. The silence is a filter. It separates the ones who valued your presence from the ones who only valued your performance. This will feel like grief before it feels like relief. That's normal. Mourn it if you have to, but don't reverse it. Don't go back to performing just to keep people who were only ever loyal to the show. Here's something darker. Something most motivational voices won't say out loud. Some of the people testing your silence right now are hoping you break. They're not hoping you're okay. They're hoping you crack, reach out, prove that you still need them the way you used to. Don't give them that. Every day you don't is a day their leverage rots a little more. And here's the part that will really unsettle you. The people who benefit most from your silence aren't your enemies. They're the ones closest to you. The ones who knew exactly which buttons to press because you handed them the wiring diagram years ago. Silence takes the diagram back. You don't owe anyone access to your inner world just because they used to have it. Let's talk about the body for a second. Because this isn't just psychological, it's physiological. Every time you used to explain yourself under pressure, your body released cortisol. Stress hormones, flooding your system, training your nervous system to associate confrontation with survival. Fight, flight, or in your case, overexplain and appease. That was a trauma response wearing the costume of good manners. When you go silent instead, you're not suppressing that response. You're rewiring it. Every time you hold the line without justifying yourself, you're teaching your nervous system a new lesson. I am safe even when I don't perform my safety for someone else. That rewiring is why the silence feels unbearable at first. Your body doesn't know the new pattern yet. It's still braced for the old one. Stay in it anyway. The discomfort is the rewiring. The discomfort is the proof it's working. This is why so many people quit right before the transformation locks in. The silence starts to feel unbearable at exactly the moment it's about to become permanent. They break at week 3. Week 4 is when the power would have set in. Don't be the one who quits at week 3. Now, let's talk about what happens after. Because silence isn't the destination, it's the forge. While you're quiet, you're not doing nothing. You're rebuilding the internal architecture that was compromised by years of performing for people who never deserved the show. You're relearning how to make decisions without needing a committee of opinions. You're relearning how to sit with discomfort without immediately trying to explain it away. And somewhere in that quiet, something shifts. You stop rehearsing conversations with people who hurt you. You stop drafting the perfect comeback in the shower. You stop needing the story to end with them realizing what they lost. You just let it go. Not because you forgave them, because you stopped needing anything from them at all. That's a different kind of freedom. Forgiveness is for people who still care what the other person thinks. This is beyond that. This is indifference so complete it doesn't even require closure. That's when you know the silence did its job. People will start noticing you differently after this. Not because you announced a transformation, because the absence of your old patterns becomes the loudest thing in the room. You'll walk into spaces you used to shrink in, and you won't shrink. Not because you're trying not to, because the impulse simply isn't there anymore. You'll hear criticism that used to wreck you for days, and it'll slide off in seconds, because you stopped outsourcing your self-worth to people who never had your best interest in mind. You'll notice you stopped explaining your absence. Stop justifying your boundaries. Stop defending decisions that were never up for debate in the first place. And the people who used to have easy access to your reactions will find themselves standing outside a door they used to walk through without knocking. They'll knock, and you'll decide, calmly, without urgency, whether that door opens again at all. This is the part where you have to be honest with yourself. Some doors shouldn't reopen. Some silence is meant to be permanent. Not every relationship deserves a sequel, just because the first version ended quietly instead of in a blowout. You get to decide that, not them. Not the audience watching from the sidelines wondering why you didn't fight harder for people who never fought for you. Let's go back to that image. The empty group chat, the unanswered message, the silence they can't interpret. Multiply that by every version of your life where you used to make noise to be seen. The job where you used to over-explain your worth in every meeting. The family gathering where you used to defend your choices to people who never had to live with the consequences of those choices. The relationship where you used to narrate your loyalty, because somewhere you'd learned that love had to be proven loudly to be believed. All of that noise gone. What replaces it isn't emptiness, it's presence. A different kind of presence, one that doesn't need an audience to feel real. This is what elite operators understand instinctively. The ones who move through high-stakes rooms without flinching, without over-explaining, without needing the room's approval to know their own value. They didn't get there by being the loudest voice. They got there by mastering the art of not needing to be heard to know they were right. You are becoming that, slowly. Quietly, without a single announcement. And here's the final truth. The one that ties all of this together: silence was never about punishing anyone else. It was never a strategy to make someone regret losing you. That's still performance, just delayed. Real silence, the kind that actually changes you, has nothing to do with them at all. It's about you finally living a life that doesn't require narration to feel valid. It's about waking up and not needing to prove the day meant something by broadcasting it. It's about closing a chapter without writing an epilogue for people who didn't even read the book. The people who are still waiting for the old version of you to show back up, apologizing, explaining, performing. They're going to wait a very long time. Because that version isn't coming back. Not because you're punishing them, because he doesn't exist anymore. You didn't kill that version out of spite. You outgrew it out of necessity. And the silence that remains isn't cold. It isn't cruel. It's just quiet in the way that only true strength ever is. Unbothered, unhurried, and completely uninterested in convincing anyone of anything it already knows to be true. So the next time the silence feels unbearable, the next time some old, hungry part of you wants to fill it with an explanation nobody's earned, or a reaction nobody deserves, remember what you're actually building in that stillness. You're not disappearing. You're becoming impossible to read, impossible to predict, and impossible to control. And that is the version of you they were never ready for.